Hey teachers, I wanted to jump on here and show you a really fun, quick, easy thing to do with your youngest students, your youngest beginners. So one of the first things that you introduce are finger numbers. And this is a really fun way to introduce it with really young students because it's very engaging. So the very first thing I actually have them do doesn't use any props. I just have them put their hands together so they can see the symmetry between their hands. And you might talk about symmetry. That's a big word for a really young student, but you can talk about how they match. And then I just have them wiggle. We talk about thumbs are always number one, no matter which hand. And then twos and threes, and then we wiggle fours, but sometimes fours don't want to wiggle very well because they're not as strong as the other fingers. And then the pinkies, they sometimes don't want to move as well either. So we kind of go through and do that. And I might even say wiggle twos, wiggle ones. And if they forget, say, remember, ones are thumbs. So you can just go through and do that first. That's a really, really easy thing. You don't need anything. Now, one thing I really love to do, this is one of my favorite things to do, and I don't often have really little beginners, so I always get really excited to do this activity when I do. And that is using finger puppets for finger numbers. So you can even make a little story and say, well, we're going to have some friends come and visit us today to help us with learning our finger numbers. So give me just a minute. I have to get them all together. So I'll let them know they're getting ready to help us out. So just a second. I'll be right back. Okay. Almost ready. So close. So close. Okay. Here we go. So they'll immediately be engaged to the screen. So I have enough finger puppets to do all my fingers actually, but I just wanted to do these first. So, and then you could just ask them questions and say, let's see, well, who should we talk to first? And the student might say, oh, I want to talk to the moose. Hello. You could say, what finger is the moose sitting on? And they might say number 3. If they say number 2, say, well, let's count. Remember, thumb is 1, 2, oh, 3. The moose is on 3. And then you can also start I don't actually even differentiate always between right and left hand at first when we're first doing in this. And then I might say, okay, well, let's see, which hand is the frog on? Is the frog on the right or the left hand? And then you could do that and then go to finger number. But you can really bring lots of imagination into finger puppets with that. Now, I realize all of you may or may not have finger puppets at home. So that can pose a problem. And I don't even know what you can get online regarding finger puppets. These I actually bought, bought at a little gift shop, and they're like hand sewn and everything. So I'm sure that maybe Amazon has finger puppets if you want to order some. The other thing you could do if you don't have the finger puppets with the characters is I have these kinds of things. Whoops, there you go. Different colored rings. So that would be kind of a fun thing. They have little eyes. If you don't have any sort of ring things, you could actually just make paper rings. You could use white paper and color. If you have colored construction paper, you could do that. The other thing I thought about, and if you have stickers, so you could just take a sticker and put it on a fingernail. So you could say, where is the green star? And if you have animals, then you can bring that character into that too. So, and I know most of us teachers probably have oodles of stickers lying around. So if you have animal stickers, you just need something to differentiate. So maybe stars of a different color, stars and hearts, smiley faces, all those different things you can use. Just to get them thinking about where their finger numbers are before you even take it to the piano and necessarily use them. Then when you're going to the piano, you can easily, of course, and I'm sure all of you do this, introduce finger numbers on the black keys. And so I'll often just wiggle them into the camera like this. They kind of look like bunny ears, and sometimes we talk about that. And then if you can put your camera angle, if you have more than one camera angle, you can turn that angle on over the keys. And I'll just play groups of 2 black keys, and we'll talk about how they're 2 and 3. switching hands, doing 3 black keys, and all of those things you would typically do in an in-person lesson. You just would want them to be able to see. And then another thing that I'll do is just make really easy pattern cards using finger numbers. So again, if they don't have these at home, you're dealing with an online situation, these are really big enough that you could hold them up for the camera and they could see them. You can direct them where to put their hand and then just slowly call out the numbers and have them play them. You could demonstrate it. You could do it by ear. So this is more reading based. And then with these cards, so these, notice I just put the numbers and I did them straight across. And for some students that might be the easiest way to start with. But you could also do directional reading right away if you wanted to, or transition to this. But as they're reading, what's nice, if they're actually reading off the screen, it gets them away from looking at their hand so they can start to develop that sense of where these finger numbers are without actually looking at them. So that's kind of a nice side effect of online teaching if you're doing that. And then of course you can just do the same thing with right hand patterns, right? They could make their own cards. They could write their own patterns on a sheet of paper. I've had students do that. They love creating their own patterns. They feel like they're composing a little. They become very proud of their little pieces. So that's really fun too. And then they're learning through doing rather than just through being told and through talking. So those are just some ideas. Those are things I do with my youngest students when we're introducing finger numbers that are really, really fun. So finger puppets, rings, stickers, and then just making short patterns for them to read off the screen. You can do short patterns just by ear, by positioning the camera over your hands, and then you can have them go ahead and make some of their own patterns. So I hope that was helpful, and have a great day teaching. Bye-bye.